Hello and welcome to Friday's Masterclass edition of Cracking the Cryptic. This is the edition every week where I get to solve a cryptic crossword. So I attempt the Times crossword for you live, and I will try and explain my thoughts. Now, it is with some trepidation that I'm going to launch today's puzzle. I know that this puzzle is by John Henderson. I've been tipped the wink. Now, John Henderson, former winner of the Times Crossword Championship, is an extremely clever guy. And his clues, I have the most terrible difficulty with them often. So I think this is, I'm not sure if this is John's return to the Times. I think he used to be a Times setter and then went on hiatus. He sets for an awful lot of the broadsheet newspapers. But yeah, I think this is, well, the snitch rating is off the scale today as well. Let's have a look at the official stats and see. Oh no, well, Jason James is in there with 4 minutes 35. That's a real time. Jason is an honest solver, not a typist, so that's incredibly good. But there you go, Matthew Marcus, former winner of the Times Crossword Championship, 11 minutes. I would guess Matthew's average time is probably 5.5 minutes or something. So that's that gives you an idea of how difficult this is. In fact, let's go to the top 100. A lot of these top 10 are typists, yeah, I mean, there's some names I recognise here taking well over 20 minutes, so it's definitely hard. Let's have a look. Have I got? Oh, I have got my dictionary. Yes, I've got a dictionary. That's going to be important. Sorry, Shane, still haven't got the new dictionary. Anyway, just another thing. If you do enjoy these videos, please do like and subscribe. Especially these crossword videos. The algorithm doesn't push them nearly as hard as we think they should be pushed, because these puzzles are terrific. And let's get cracking and see what we can see. Right, here we go. My family home collects different food to barbecue here. I mean, straight away, that's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. My family home. So, all right. I mean, I talk about, if you've been watching these videos for a while, some of what I say will seem like repetition, but it bears repetition because some people will be watching this video having never done a cryptic crossword before. All cryptic crossword clues contain a quick crossword clue, which is just a straightforward definition of the answer. Now, that is almost always at the start or the end of the clue. So as we read this clue, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult to know what the definition is. It can't be my or my family, I don't think. It could be my, actually, my, as in core, gosh, get out of here or something. It's not that, but it could be. The other thought is it's the other side of the clue. So different food to barbecue here, or food to barbecue here. My family. And okay, let's think about other ways we could approach this clue. Short synonyms for words. Family comes up a lot in cryptic crosswords. That has a short synonym, which is kin. Home has a short synonym. If you're at home, you are in. So my family. I'm intrigued by this one. I think if I can, all I have to do is read it properly and I'll be able to get it, and I'm failing to do that, which is infuriating. My bad theatre job, enormous curtains. He is brilliant. He is brilliant. I have no idea what this one is either. My bad theatre job. Enormous curtain. There's too many words in the clue. It's only 4 letters long. My bad theatre job. Job enormous curtains. I almost feel like this should be a hidden. If you say my bad, you might say, you might be going, I made a mistake. Oops, or something. Theatre job enormous curtains. I've got it. It is oops. That's really brilliant. That is such a brilliant clue. Right. So again, I mean, the advice I gave was quite good advice. It's just very difficult to read this clue correctly because our brains are, when we read English, we are used to having a certain rhythm to our reading. And here you have to disrupt that rhythm in order to read this clue correctly, because you have to chop it between bad and theatre. So my bad theatre job is a very natural way. We can see the comma. Subconsciously and consciously, we see the comma, so we read to the comma. My bad theatre job. Here, we must not do that. We have to read my bad, cut it, because my bad is the definition. A theatre job, if you went to a medical theatre to get a job done, what would be a short synonym for that? It would be an op, as in an operation. And then we've got enormous, curtaining it. Well, and this is difficult. Enormous can be OS for outsize. Now, the first thing we need to do then is to go to the dictionary and look that up and see if we can... outsize, there we go. Outsize. So again, if abbreviations have to be supported by the dictionary, so we can't just make up abbreviations. We can't just say, oh, I think there's a phrase outsize. That could be OS. No, it has to be supported by the dictionary. OS does come up for enormous, believe it or not, quite a lot in cryptic crosswords. And so the OS is curtaining. It's sort of enveloping the op to give oops for my bad. I mean, it's just a brilliant clue, frankly. Let's go back here then. My family home collects different food. I wonder if different food could be an anagram of the word food, because that would allow us to put of in the middle. Barbecue here, out of doors. Out of doors, I quite like that. I don't know why it's that yet, except I've seen it's got an anagram of food in it. My family... Oh, I really like this, actually. I really like the idea of it being out of doors, because that is where you would typically barbecue, unless you're quite strange. My family home collects different food. You can see in the middle here, we've got an anagram of food, and that means my family home has to be outdoors. OUTORS. Really? Oh no, okay. Different food too. Goodness me. So it's not an anagram of food. Well, it is sort of. It's an anagram of food and two. And then, my family home is ours. That's such a northern expression. Do you want to come round to ours? Yeah, that's just gorgeous again. So my family home is ours. That collects an anagram of food too, because we treat those letters differently. And that gets out of doors, which is somewhere you might barbecue. Okay, I'm already in love with this puzzle. But I think what we can also say right away is this is going to be brutal. I mean, how did Jason James has finished the puzzle by this point? Admittedly, I'm doing quite a lot of explaining, but anyway, it's just brilliant. Right, 2 down. Worked beside well. I'm not sure. I'm wondering about took here. So again, we have to split the clue somewhere. So if we split it after worked, if something worked, does it worked and took, are they synonymous? The reason I'm quite interested in that as an idea is I was trying to think of a short synonym for well. And if you're well, you're okay. So, and I can only think of one word that would then work. And if you're beside something, are you to it? Maybe. To has so many different meanings. If the door was... No. We went beside. I'm not sure. Worked beside. Be interesting if this was an O, and a bit terrifying as well. Let's try 3 down. Silly exploit with plant that flavours water. Silly exploit. Funny, no. Silly exploit with plant that flavours water. I don't know. Let's try 4 down. Broadcasting. Immediately I'm thinking, if you're broadcasting, if you're a radio and you're broadcasting, you're on air. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? So that's actually, if you're walking on air, you're very happy. So that one is fairly straightforward. Let's try 5 down. Fish. Red snapper. No, it's not that. Fish, a curious topping for ginger nut. Okay, so again we have to split the clue. I think probably we're splitting it after the word fish here. In other words, all I have to do, red salmon then, is think of a fish that would fit here. I've thought of red salmon. I'm not sure why it's that. A curious topping for ginger nut. I mean, it's trying to suggest that if you put a fish on a ginger biscuit, it would be a curious way of topping that. But I wonder, a topping for a ginger nut, colloquially, would be the phrase for somebody with red hair. Fish, a curious topping for ginger nut. Red. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's red something, I think. 9 across. Promotional material. Well, I'm immediately thinking, I'm thinking 2 things about that. Promotional material, could that be PR as in public relations? It could also be ad as in an advert. Mentioned genuine East End butchers. Oh, goodness me. Okay, let's talk about the end of this clue first. What is John getting at with East End butchers? The problem is, East End butchers makes me think of Sweeney Todd. I don't think it's to do with Sweeney Todd. Most of the time you see references to the East End or to Cockney rhyming slang or something like that, or oh, my phone's buzzing, that's okay. In Cryptic Crossword land, this is a reference to people who drop their H's. So they would come from places like Acne, West Ham, and the idea then is going to be to think of a word for butchers. Now the thing is, butchers is a difficult word as well from a Cryptic Crossword perspective, because again we might think of a shop that is a butcher's, it sells meat. But if you take a butcher's at something, especially in the sort of in London, that would be to have a look at it. To take a butcher's is to have a look. So I'm wondering if this is a word for look, or a word beginning with H that means to have a look at something. We're going to drop that H out. Genuine East End butchers. Promotional material is I can only think of the word promotional now. That's terrible. This is a terrible beginning in terms of solving, but let's try 6 across. Hot green dresses are imitations. Hot green dresses are imitations. It's just brilliant. Okay, so here are the thoughts I've had about this one. I wonder whether this is a word that means imitations. And the way I've got to that is, if you saw H on a tap, you would know it meant hot, wouldn't you? Hot water. So I'm quite interested in H for hot here, with a word for green dressing it, i.e. clothing the H. And that would give us something that means imitations or are imitations. Imitations, 4 letters, apes. Copies is too many. 3-letter words which mean green, raw, new. Hot green dresses. Other short synonyms for green. Vert, but that's too many. Or I could be misreading the clue, which is looking more and more likely, isn't it? Let's try this one. A little bird doing no good. A little... Oh, okay. Right, this is a slightly easier one, but I'm so thrown by the fact I can't solve any of the clues that that even this one, which is a giveaway, has taken a little bit of time. So here again, there's a couple of ways to approach this, but I want to talk about this A at the beginning. Now, a good cryptic crossword clue, and the Times will only publish good cryptic crossword clues, doesn't have anything superfluous in it. So let's reread this clue without this A in the clue. Little bird doing no good. How does that differ in meaning from a little bird doing no good? And the answer is it really doesn't. So this A is in the clue for a reason. What could that reason be? Well, it must be that it's necessary for the wordplay. Now, if the A is part of the wordplay, then the other side of the clue must be the definition. So we're looking for something as doing no good or even good, but the other side of the clue is what we're after. Now, if we split it after bird, so we're after a phrase that means doing no good. This A is part of the wordplay, so it very likely begins with A. Can you think of a 3-letter little bird? What about a tit? And if you're at it, you're up to no good. So that's how the clue works. But a little, a hint is to look at this A in the clue. You can see another A there. Love difficult at distance gets in the way. Again, that suggests to me that what we're looking for there, in fact, let's move on to this clue, because it's instructive. Why is this A here? Well, it must be necessary for the wordplay, or very likely it's necessary for the wordplay. So how can we read this clue in such a way that the A forms part of the wordplay? Well, let's look at the first word, love. Well, that would be a good definition, wouldn't it? There are lots of words that mean love. But the other thing that love conjures up in a cryptic crossword sense is a love score in tennis, which is no score in tennis. And cryptic crossword writers therefore associate words like love with O, because O looks like a 0. I think that is the reason. I might be wrong about that, but I think that is the reason. Then difficult, what could that mean? Well, again, in a cryptic crossword sense, words like difficult or curious, or let's try and find another one, bad, working, excitedly, all of this is indicative to me of potentially anagrams. If we treat a string of letters in a difficult way, we might be anagramming them. Now, at a distance is 11 letters. So this love, if love was O, and then at a distance, oh, we've got an R. There's no R in at a distance. Oh, no. So this is a total nonsense. Difficult. Well, I thought it was going to be O and then an anagram of at a distance, but John has foxed me again. Gets in the way. Let's try. Okay, let's try and think about this completely afresh then. At a distance. Gets in the way. Love. Adoration or something. Have I looked at... Oh, no, I haven't looked at 7 down. Let's look here. Result of a little home cooking. Well, that would be... I mean, it would be a beautiful... If there is an anagram of little home, you might then ask me, what's that A doing in the clue? That's a good question. Result of a little home cooking. I have not... Oh. Okay. I have got this one. And the way I got this one is... I don't really know how I got it. I was trying to think of types of food that fitted the pattern, and I thought of cottage pie. And therefore, let's this is tricky because I've been talking about the necessity for precision in clues. Now, there is one type of clue where the constructor gets a bit more license, and that's a so-called cryptic definition. And this is a clue where we have to read the whole clue in toto, and then think about it sort of in a slightly lateral way. So if I think the answer to this might be cottage pie, why might it be cottage pie? Well, a little home is a cottage, isn't it? So what John's doing is punning on the fact that cottage pie and a little home cooking it's a very nice cryptic definition, actually. It really is. Because result of a little home cooking, you might be thinking, oh yes, what might we get from a little home cooking? And you might get a cottage pie, actually, but it is indeed, seems to be defining a cottage pie. Let's go back there then. Hot green dresses are imitations. I'm so sorry. This is definitely easy now, and I'm not getting it. Hot green dresses are imitations. I don't. Well, maybe we'll get it if we look at this one. Confining serpent's victim to pit below not awfully fair. Confining serpent's victim. That suggests that, oh, is that going to be something like Cleopatra, or to pit below not awfully fair? Okay, I have got this one now. I didn't get it from realizing who the serpent's victim was. I got this, believe it or not, by looking at the phrase not awfully and thinking about that in a cryptic way. If you treat letters in an awful way, what could that be indicative of? I've got 6 across now. Sorry, my brain is skipping around. But if you treat the letters of not in an awful way, you might be anagramming them. Now, if you're anagramming the word not, and if we read the clue, the rest of confining serpent's victim to pit would be below. Well, this is a down clue, so if you put something below something else, it's indicative of its position within the answer. So that suggests that our anagram of not might be at the start of the clue, and that's really attractive, isn't it? Because we could put an anagram of not here and start on what looks like on the. Now, if all of that conjecture is correct, then the definition is just the final word of the clue, the word fair. So can we think of a phrase that means fair on the level? So, and now I can see what we've got below is that we've got Eve, who was a serpent's victim in the Garden of Eden, in hell for pit. So confining the serpent's victim, confining Eve to the pit, hell, below an anagram of not, gives a phrase that means on the level. Well, phrase that means fair on the level. It's very clever again. But let's go back here, which is also very clever. Hot green dresses are imitations. And I was reading it correctly, but I didn't think of the correct short synonym for green. If something is eco-friendly, we would instantly realise it was a green thing, wouldn't we? So what about putting eco for green around the H, and we get echo, and if things echo, they are imitations. Lovely. Very clever, and too clever for me to do quickly. Let's try 17. Member of party departing the Tabard Inn where everyone's drunk. The Tabard Inn, was that where they left for the Pilgrims? No, the Canterbury Tales. It might be. unlikely nowadays. Oh, well, no, maybe, no, I am right. That's really weird. It's really weird for me to get a literary reference for like that. Okay, because then I was thinking of the Canterbury Tales, and one of the writers of A Canterbury Tale was the Reeve's Tale. Now, why is the answer to this Reeve? Well, there's one of these in every Times crossword except last week's. I don't think had one, and that's a hidden, i.e. where the answer is actually spelt out in the clue. Now, where this occurs, the constructor must tell you that the answer is hidden in the clue. They can't just hide the answer in the clue and leave it there and expect you to know it's there or to hunt for it to be there. There has to be a phrase or a word that indicates it's hidden. So, member of party departing the Tabard Inn is Reeve. Now, where everybody, look at the letters in where everybody, because inside there, drunk, i.e. sort of consumed within that phrase, is spelt out R-E-E-V-E. So it's drunk here is telling us that we have to look inside the letters for what's drunk inside, what's been taken in by the phrase where everybody, and it is the word Reeve. Now, none of these checking letters now look very good, do they? Should we risk 11 down? Station cafes offering things to give ox. What? Station cafes offering things to give ox. It's such a strange service. Imagine going to a station. Have you got anything for my ox? Station. I mean, I don't know what the answer to this is, but I'm wondering if it could be the name of a railway station. Like, it's not Oxford Circus, but something like that. Cafes offering coffee, cake, things to give ox. I mean, if it's the name of a type of ox, that sounds very difficult. I was wondering whether ox could be some sort of abbreviation for something like oxygen. I don't think that's valid, especially I don't know what that is. Did we look at this one? Yes, and I totally mispassed it, didn't I? Love. Appreciate? No, not quite. Difficult at a distance. Gets in the way. Love. I don't know. I think now it might mean love. Should we go for 13 down? Now this is the jackpot if we can get this one. 5 starting letters would emerge. Spring routine restricted by extremely elaborate footwear. Well, I've got this straight away. Okay, so that's, again, how do you solve this clue quickly? And the way I solved it quickly was I looked at extremely elaborate. Now, what could that mean in a cryptic crossword sense? Now, there are 2 possibilities, but I think one is more likely than the other. If you treat letters in an extreme way, you might be thinking about an anagram, and that's not a bad thought to have. So if you had that thought, that's okay. But the other meaning of extreme, to treat a word in its extremely, it might be saying take the extreme letters that are in that word, the first and the last letter. And so that would be an E and an E, wouldn't it? So if spring routine was restricted by EE to give an item of footwear, that really is interesting. Item of footwear that fits this pattern. Well, I only know one. How about espadrille? And a spar is a spring, as in a mineral spring. And routine, a routine is a drill. So espadrille is right, and now we might be at least able to do something. 15 across. Charlie's excitedly welcoming Penny round. Charlie is 8 letters. So if you treat the letters of Charlies in an excited way, that would give us 8 of 9 letters. Welcoming penny. Well, can we think of any abbreviations for a penny? Well, P is, I think, most likely. But an old penny was a D as well. So I'm thinking more likely P. And the whole thing means round, spherical is the answer. Okay, so that again was quite doable in comparison to some of the others. Should we go for, let's go for 18 across. Noisily change, focal point of service. Okay. Okay, so this is a very common type of clue, and it's so important to, I think, to at least understand how clues like this work, because they come up all the time. So this word noisily, that's implying something you hear, isn't it? Now if you see anything like that, and it might literally be we hear in a clue, or catches, because if you catch something you're hearing it, then almost certainly the clue is a homophone. And that means that we need to think of a word for change, 5-letter word for change. Now if you, beginning with A, what about the word alter? Now if we hear the word alter as in to change, it would sound identical to this word, altar. And an altar is the focal point for a religious service in a church. So that is what we're looking for. So always remember as well that one side of the clue is the definition. So the definition here is definitely the last part, because the wordplay, the thing that's being heard, is the word change. That's clear, noisily change. If it was change noisily focal point of surface, then that's much harder, isn't it? Then it's ambiguous, because the word noisily could be applied to the word change or the word alter. Well, the focal point of the service, the AR ending. But here, this way round, it's very clear, and there can only be one answer. All right, let's go for 14 down. Children had remained with English housekeeper. Well, okay. There is... I have got this, yeah. Okay. This is a word. I'm going to reveal just how nerdy and sad I am now. Prepare yourselves. You'll never have heard anything quite this sad. So, back when I was in, I don't know, I reckon I was around 20, 21, I realised that one of the great weaknesses, which I still have to this day when it comes to Times crosswords, is my vocabulary. I never did Latin at school, or let alone Greek, and I had a, let's call it a patchy education up to the age of 13 for reasons that will remain cryptic, and therefore an awful lot of classical allusions I've had to learn since, and my knowledge of sort of staples of cryptic crossword vocabulary has been acquired only through repetition and hard work over many years. And anyway, I used to keep a notebook, and I would write in the notebook all the words I came across in the Times crossword that I didn't know, and then I would look them up, which was an effort in those days. There wasn't online dictionaries and things. You actually had to look them up. And this is one of the words that I learnt at that time. So I don't think it's a very common word. And I'll tell you, can you think of a 10-letter word for a housekeeper? If you can, fair play, especially if you aren't used to cryptic crosswords. I think that the answer is chatelaine. I might even be saying it wrong. That's how I've always thought of the word. A chatelaine. Now let's look. I'm not going to change the answer, so I'm very happy to look it up. Chatelaine. Oh, now it's not there, which is a bit of a disaster. Oh, okay. It's because of the circumflex accent on the A. Here we go. the female keeper or mistress of a castle or a large household, formerly an ornamental bunch of short chain-bearing keys, scissors, attached at the waist belt and worn by women, a similar thing in miniature attached to a watch chain. I mean, it's such a ludicrous word, but it is there. Now, how does it work here? Well, I mean, it's not actually that easy. It's got quite an unusual abbreviation at the start. Children apparently is CH, which I've not seen for a very long time. Now, let's have a look at that. I think children's CH, maybe it's not. Oh no, maybe it isn't. Oh no, there it is, children. Children's CH. So children is CH. That's more of an abbreviation I would expect to see in the more advanced broadsheet cryptics like the listener crossword. Had, if you had some food, you ate it, didn't you? ATE. Remained, lane. So an old form of, stayed, lane. LAIN. Let's look at that as well. I mean, this clue is using the dictionary up to past participle or past tense of lie to. Lane, there it is. And then E for English. I won't look that up. That's fairly standard, and that gives chatelaine. So I've revealed my nerdy nature, and hopefully none of us will ever forget that word now. Let's have a look at 20 across. Buffet cars. But, now here my alarm bells are ringing, because buffet is a strange word. If you cut the word buffet before cars, you might have well have said buffet, which has a quite different meaning. So let's be aware of that. Buffet cars, inter alia, currently serving rich gravy. What is that? Well, I see. It would. I wonder if we do read it as, if we split buffet and cars up, if you buffet some words, you might anagram them. That would give us, no, it would give us two. That would give us too many words, wouldn't it? Or too many letters. I think it gives 13. We only need 12. I mean, rolling stock? Yeah, I think that is right. Yeah, I mean, it's not easy. Rolling stock is a reference to sort of all the things on a railway. The rolling stock is sort of the whole train, isn't it? So buffet cars inter alia, buffet cars among other things, would be an example of rolling stock. And if you're rolling in money, you're rich. So rich and rolling are synonymous. Gravy and stock are synonymous. So rolling stock, I think, is the answer. Buffet cars inter alia, currently. Oh, I see. Currently serving is the reference to the fact that rolling stock is the stuff that's currently on the railway, rather than not, old trains, I suppose. And currently serving as well is lovely, because it allows John to use serving and the phrase rich gravy, which is lovely. So it's another, it's really just a lovely clue. And we're still going. We've got a very patchy fill though here, haven't we? Let's have a look at 24 across. Current stable employee covers bet. Yeah, okay. It's a brilliant clue again, but it's not easy. Okay. Again, how do you solve this clue? It's not easy to do. It's not easy if you're new to cryptic crosswords, but I think you'll appreciate it if you're new to it once I explain it. The way to do it, I think, is to be aware that anything in a clue that indicates the position of something is very likely to be wordplay. So here the word covers is interesting, because it suggests, especially if you know that current can be abbreviated to I, and that's from Ohm's law, V equals IR. Volts equals, I don't know, current times resistance or something. So if current can be I, and a stable employee covers that I, can we create a word that means bet? Well, that all sounds good if we can think of a stable employee that's 3 letters beginning with L. What about a stable lad? And that would give us laid. And if you bet money, you laid your stake, didn't you? Laid and bet are definitely synonymous in the past tense. I mean, bet could be present tense as well, but it can be he bet, as in he laid money in the past tense. So that's the answer. I mean, it's not easy, but the better we get at reading the clues, the easier that becomes. 26 across. Love interest of old city MD. Love interest of old city MD. What? Yeah, I mean, that's just brilliant. It's just brilliant. I've got it. I mean, solving this without these checking letters that we've got would be the stuff of nightmares. So how do we? I don't even know. I'll tell you how I solved this. And weirdly, my the way I've solved it is a little bit inaccurate. So I solved it from looking at old city and thinking, do I know any names for old cities that appear in cryptic crosswords? Now, a very common one you see sometimes is the city of Ur, which I think is an old biblical city, but I could be wrong about that, but it does come up sometimes. The other thing you see for city occasionally is Ek. And this is because postcodes that begin EC are, I think, references to sort of the central city of London. So city and EC are considered synonymous in cryptic crosswords. So let me read the clue differently for you. Love interest of old, city, MD. Well, given that we think city is EC or could be EC, we're either looking at something like that, and there are no words like that, or we're thinking of this. There aren't many words that fit here, but there is one, which is exec. An exec is an executive, a senior person in a company, like an MD. And a love interest of old would be your ex. So it's XEC to give MD. It's brilliant. Again, 16 down. Covering between C and 1000. So, isn't that weird, the way my brain read that? So my brain sees 100 and it converts it into Roman numerals because that's just what's likely to be required. So, and then it didn't do it with the 1000, because 1000 I think can be M or G. But, well, G is in 10G. M if we're thinking about Roman numerals. Anyway, let's go back to actually reading the English. Covering between 100 and 1000 substantial cycles. Substantial cycles. Something like, I don't know, I was thinking of words like cyclograms or something. I'm not sure what this is. Covering. Wrapping. But the covering needs to be between the 100, Roman numeral C, and 1000. That would imply M or G at the end. Or unless the G the G for 1000 is this, then we have a 3-letter word for a covering, which could be sort of a word for skin then. And then a 4-letter word for substantial, and the whole thing means cycles. I don't know. I'm not getting that one, am I? Let's try 19 across. Metrically, one's very rigorous. Rigorous. If you're rigorous, you are incredibly... Well, okay, I have thought of a possible answer here. Oh, I don't quite get it. The word I've thought of, which I really like as a possible answer, is intensive. If something is rigorous, I think it's intensive. And I like the idea of something metrical as opposed to imperial being in intens. But what I'm struggling with there, so intens, if something is intens, I think it could be described as metric. Metrically intens. 1, I from the Roman numeral. Very, V. I wonder if VE can be very, as well as just V. I really like intensive as a possible answer there. What does that help me with this? Clingily or something. Crin, cycles. I don't know that yet. Oh, red mullet. Oh, red mullet. Red mullet is right. A mullet is a colloquial name for your head. So if you had a red mullet, you would be a ginger nut. You would have ginger hair. So a curious topping for a ginger nut. Red mullet. Have I looked at... Oh, this is the station. Oh, Charing Cross would fit. Well, it must be Charing... Oh, it must be Charing Cross. Cafes offering things to give ox. Hang on. Station. So station is Charing Cross. Cafes offering. Oh, come on. Why? Okay, I've got it. I mean, this is a form of genius, that there are people in the world whose mind works in this way. So what John has done here, I mean, it's so ludicrously clever. It really is beautiful. So we are looking for the name of a station. Charing Cross is the answer. A cafe's offering. A cafe might give you a cup of tea or a cup of cha, C-H-A. And the things that could give the word ox, the letters that we would need, or the shapes we would need to give O and X, would be a ring and a cross. That would make an O and an X, wouldn't it? So the things to give ox are O and X, or ring and cross. And that's why the answer is Charing Cross. That's absolutely brilliant. Thoroughfare would fit here. And that's a type of way. So that's going to be right. Let's put that in and then try and understand what's going on. Well, difficult is rough. Far is distance. Wow, yeah. Look how cleverly worded this is as well. So, again, we have to... The definition here, you have to be very precise about where the cut is in the clue. The definition is literally that very last word, the word way. It's not even the way, it's just way. And the way it works is love is O, difficult, rough, at a distance, far, gets in all of that, oh rough far, gets in the word the, T-H-E, to create thoroughfare, the name of a way. So what's that one? Feather? Oh, this is the flavouring of water. Silly exploit. I'm thinking of feather dusters now. Silly exploit with plant that flavours water. What? Feather brain? A silly as a noun might be feather brain. Someone who has feather brains. Water. If you water something, water and rain might be synonymous. I quite like feather brain. I'm going to put it in. I don't understand why it's right yet, but I can see elements of the words that might work. So, oh, I see. An exploit is a feat. If you accomplish a feat, you have accomplished an exploit, haven't you? So exploit and feat with plant that flavours herb, and then rain for water. So it's feat, herb, rain. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Now, let's try and do this without going back to the clue, because I should be able to just think of a word that fits now. And I'm not managing to do it. Propaganda. Propaganda. Oh, that's just brilliant. Oh my goodness. Okay, propaganda is right. Actually, that reminds me. I think Mark has written a brilliant clue for propaganda. Mark, remind me what your clue for propaganda is. I admit you wrote this clue 25 years ago, I would guess. And it was something, you used DA at the end. So pro-pagan DA, I think, was anyway, Mark, if you're watching this video, what was your clue for propaganda that's making me think? Anyway, let's go. Promotional material is propaganda. Mentioned, well, we saw it, how did we see mentioned? Noisily. It's the same thing here. So mentioned is saying we need a homophone. Now, if you were in the East End and you had a proper, P-R-O-P-E-R, that would be a genuine. A gander, G-A-N-D-E-R, is a look. So it's not. We aren't dropping H's this time. We're looking at gander as in to have a gander at something would be to have a look at it. A look or glance. It doesn't actually say that that's only sort of East End slang, but it is. So propaganda. I'm going to have a propaganda at something. I'm going to have a real look at it, a genuine look. And look is and John hasn't even said look. A genuine East End butcher's. So we're looking at butcher here to be a look. Let's go and have a look at that because it amuses me. Let's have a look. Butchers, there it is. Butchers. Oh, it is from rhyming slang. That's why John's used East End as the reference. Butcher's hook, a look. Okay, now going back here then, we thought this might be took, or I did anyway. Worked. Trod. Beside well. What else could it be? Worked beside. Can we think of a four-letter word which means worked beside? I can only get took. Took's just in my mind now, which is not helping me. I think it is. I think worked. If a medicine worked, it took, didn't it? So beside, it relies on beside being to, but to has so many different meanings. I'd be amazed if, I'm not going to change it. I'm going to leave it there, but let's just see if we look up to, do we see, it's got one direction forward, contact, can't see whether it's there. Oh, beside it is actually there. Right, okay, well, it's definitely justified then. So, okay, we haven't got this one, but actually I haven't looked at the sort of southeast corner at all. So let's have a look at 21 down. Chap out on roof, newly illuminated from the ground. A chap out on the roof would be a tiler, somebody putting on roof tiles. Okay, newly illuminated from the ground. If something is newly illuminated, it would be relit. And from the ground, this is a down clue. So if we write the word relit from the ground, we start at the bottom and go upwards, and that gives us tiler. So this is another very good example of how skillful this constructor is. Because modest constructors, I'm going to use myself as an example here, would go, okay, a tiler is somebody who works on a roof, a man who works on roof. And then I'd be thinking of a reversal indicator for, I can see that tiler is a reversal of relit, and I'd be thinking of some way of reversing those two things. But the way John has done it is so much more brilliant than I would have come up with. Newly illuminated from the ground. From the ground, the whole thing hangs together as a sentence, and it conjures up an image that is coherent. It doesn't read particularly like a crossword clue. 22. Step out of a prison. Okay, well, I can do that one. I can do that one quickly for a change. So, again, let's think about this clue with regard to the indefinite article in it. This word a. Why is it there? If this clue read step out of prison, how would it differ from step out of a prison? There would almost be no difference. So why is this a here? Well, let's try and think about it from a wordplay perspective. Step out of a. So can we think of a 5-letter word for a step? And we're going to take an a out of it. Because if the word step is out of its a, the a has been removed from the word. Now a step might be a stair, mightn't it? As in a staircase. Take a out, we get stir, and a stir is a slang name for a prison. So we can do that one. Let's try 23. Group 1 beginning to have change of heart. Group 1 beginning to have change of heart. I haven't got this one. Okay, let's go and have a look at 25. Queen Elizabeth Gates, perhaps, showing this sticker. I don't know. Gates, perhaps, is interesting with that G capitalised. I wonder if that's Bill Gates. Bill poster. Queen Elizabeth is ER, as in Elizabeth Regina. Queen, I really like Bill poster. I can't quite work out why this post is in here. I suppose, yeah, that's fine, isn't it? So it's very clever again. I should just stop saying that. I should only point out the ones that aren't clever. Queen Elizabeth Gates, perhaps. Well, the phrase Bill post ER would be Bill post means after, doesn't it? After ER. So and that is literally what the clue is. It's a definition of Bill, as in Gates perhaps, after ER, Queen Elizabeth. So Bill post ER is exactly what the clue is describing. It's just unusual. And a sticker is a bill poster. So let's see if we can do 27, because it would really help with that one. Play I promise a short run in. Play. I promise, I swear, a short run in. I haven't got this one either. Oh dear, oh dear. Okay, what do I think about this clue? I think it's going to be the name of a play. And I'm slightly concerned that this might be sort of a Greek play, one that doesn't play to my strengths. I promise. And the reason I think this is a short run in. I think what that might be saying is that you can shorten the word run to be R, and that's from cricket scoring. So AR might be going in an 8-letter phrase or word that means I promise. There's a couple of possibilities for where that R might go. And the whole thing is play, or the name of a play. I don't have that, so let's go back there. Group, trio. One beginning to have change of heart. Oh, that's right. Okay, so a group as in a musical group is a trio, or an example of a musical group could be a trio. Now, one beginning, somebody who is new to something, is a tyro, T-I-R-O. And if that switches its heart around, switches its middle letters around, we can create trio from tyro. So let's go and have a look at that. A beginner. Right, so oh goodness, well, it's a very helpful checking letter, but I still haven't, my brain still isn't giving me the answer. So it is the name of a play, I think. Oh dear, dear, dear. I promise. Oh, okay. No, I have got it now. That's brilliant. Oh, that is brilliant. Good grief. Right. So, wow. This is sort of an and lit clue. And these are very unusual. These are clues in which the whole clue needs to be read as a definition of the answer. And the whole clue needs to be also read as wordplay. So let's try and read this whole clue as wordplay and see if we can construct something from it. Now, if letters are playing, they might be frivolous. They might be anagram, mightn't they? So play with the letters I promise. That would give us 8 letters with A and a short run in, R inside. Well, that would give us our 10-letter anagram fodder. I promise A and R. Now, if that is the construction, then the whole sentence, play I promise a short run in, needs to be defining the answer. And the person who might promise you a short run in their play might be an impresario. Somebody who puts on things at the theatre. Let's go and have a look at exactly what impresario is defined as. Impresario, there we go. The manager of an opera company, doily cart, and a showman. Oh no, so what is that? That's going to be some weird word. Whoa, cling film. That is a weird word. Covering. Okay, covering is cling film must be the answer. But we've got to work out why. So we've got between 100 C and 1000 M, substantial cycles, filling. Goodness me. So if you had a substantial meal, it would be a filling meal, wouldn't it? Now, if the word filling cycles, its sort of first letter goes to its end, and then its second letter goes to the new end, and its third letter goes to its new end, etc. So a cycle of the word filling would be ling fill. That goes inside C, M for 1000 to give cling film, which is which is a covering. And that is the solution to the puzzle. Now, that is a sensationally good crossword. And I mean, I take my time to discuss it, but let me just say, Jason James, what? What were you, 4 minutes or something? 4 minutes 35. That is just remarkable. Honestly, that is just remarkable. Fabulous solving and fabulous setting, John. As usual, your puzzles give me an awful lot of pleasure. I am so impressed with your ability to sort of bend these words to make them just do literal magic. But okay, what I will do is I will treat myself to a quick go at the quick cryptic to show you. I mean, to show you that I'm not a complete imbecile sometimes, although we never know. I'll try and race on this, and let's see if we can do a bit better. So, 2 days in A&E with another one tacked on, added. Unscrupulous US city travellers heading US city. Roma or something. Amoral is the answer. LA, Roma, upside down. Board needing a yes. A Ouija board is the answer there. Work on kitchen renovation. I'm not helping. Do it yourself. Probably Lou. Ladies. Yeah. Let's go to that one. Dead something maybe. Dad loses out, a complete failure. Dead loss. Yeah, it's an anagram. 7 across. Strange seeing OAP spying is espionage. That's an anagram. Speaker at end of month will be a painter. Is a deck orator. Is a speaker. A deck orator. Geronimo is an Apache, I would say. I will go for that without terrible much thought. Completed film a step too far. Overreach, I was going to write. Over... A step too far isn't over. Oh, I don't know. Animals suffered by all accounts. Bore. That is a homophone. Clandestine secret. Sect. Yeah. Overreact. Oh, I don't know. 8 down. Very large male cartoons reproduced. Very large. It's an anagram. And the answer is astronomical. Astronomical. Film. Overshoot. Step too far. Overshoot, probably. I don't know if there's a film called Shoot. Turn informer. Oh, sing, isn't it? Suffer, incur. That's a hidden. Having... Idiot cancelled, having off with a new heart. Finished state, leaving you red-faced. Unfinished state, leaving you red-faced. Florid? Oh, it's Florida without saying. That's very clever. Frosty, gelid. That must be right. Setter is a gel, I suppose. New chair isn't a religious person, is a Christian. It's an anagram. No! Sun abandoned extremely cold region for a warmer one. I see something, I don't know. Accost Ari. Co-star. That's a hidden. Tossing and turning, unlike princess, away sleepless. Friendship to influence half of nation. Affection. To influence is to affect, and then half of nation is iron. A pact is the answer there. Irenic? Oh no, hang on, what is this? Extremely cold region for a warmer one. Iberia? Siberia, yeah, okay, so I'm not sure about overshoot there. I've guessed it. They can't muck about. It was correct. 14th. Okay, so not absolutely terrible. I was giving a little bit of commentary, so I might have been able to shave a few seconds off that. Let's have a look and see. Several of these I don't prefer. Well, there you go. Matthew Marcus, that's a real time, 1 minute 56. I mean, sick, absolutely sick. Andrew Fisher, 2 minutes 48 is real. I'm not sure. Jason James, we just saw. So Jason was only slightly quicker on this one than he was on the John Henderson puzzle. Lunacy, absolute lunacy. Yeah, but yeah, really, what a lovely way to spend an hour this morning doing these wonderful crosswords. Let me know in the comments how you got on with them. I love hearing stories of how you're all improving. There seems to be an awful lot of people who are getting better at these. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.